and welcome to another glorious read. I am your host, Aspen Sage. Let's get into it. I hope everybody had a fantastic week. I hope only the best games came to you. I hope you got to do some reading. And if you are a fan of the Court of Thorns and Roses, there's big news that Sarah J. Maas is making a 6th book to the series. It is wicked exciting. I am on the 5th book. I am almost done with it. I am loving it right now, between Cassian and Nesta, and how it's basically them hunting for old weapons that were created before the Fae, which is a fantastic twist to the story. And it's different. I like it. But that is not what today's review is about. Today is the second part of Hunted by the Shadows by Mary Devlin and Annie Kinsley. This book, I first started with a lot of questions, and I still have a lot of questions not answered. But a couple of my theories did come true. However, there is a 3rd book coming out, and I have to wait until next year to finish the series, and I hate waiting. But as an author myself, I do not rush, and I understand. So let's get into it. Unfortunately, I don't remember where I left off last week, but I do remember that they got in an accident. They ran into an old hunter friend. They got into a hunter compound where some things went down. Now they're on the run from their own kind of people. And of course, our fearless fairy saved a siren that was trapped by the compound themselves. And this is initially how Sylvia got caught. And of course, she obviously frees the siren. And the siren comes back multiple times back in the story. In the swamp, when they crashed, Sylvia had this idea of glamour. And of course, their story about other fairies. And they do end up finding a whole other colony to these fairies. And of course, Sylvia is also looking for gems that hold magical power. Because her idea, obviously, if you read the story or haven't yet, Sylvia is looking for a gemstone to basically become human, and where her father was a gem hunter and a nomad back in the day. So she's cautious about finding all these gemstones and using and wielding their magic. Sometimes the magic kind of actually makes her feel a little dazed, a little crazy. It's more of like a droning or a humming. So regardless, John and Cliff, again, named after the Winchester boys, well, not named after, but created after the Winchester boys. There's still parts of Cliff where I'm like, that is such a Sam trait, and there's parts of John where I'm like, that's such a Dean trait, but it's more that Cliff was made for like a Jean and John, Sam. Regardless, again, I love supernatural stuff. Obviously, Sylvia finds where the fairies might be after running into the siren she freed, and the siren says she can take her to the fairies that are hiding and glamored. They get to a door and they find out that it is like a constellation kind of thing, but it needs a sacrifice, it needs blood. And John and Cliff constantly cut themselves, and Sylvia keeps healing them to get to the fairies. And once they do, they're greeted, I can't say warmly. Sylvia is not so much the hunters. So Cliff and John are restrained, and Sylvia is like, nope, these are mine, you can't hurt them. She runs into this other guy who's like a big warrior guy, and he's like, I promise no harm will come to your hunters while you're here. And she's okay with that, and she gets this weird vibe being there. She's treated almost like a royalty, like a goddess, and she's like, it's strange, like everybody's hugging her and kissing her, and she's being like, you're so breathable and stuff, and she's like, wow, this is a different reception than what I get at my home. So she's uncertain about it. Of course, she finds the gemstones that she's so drawn to, and this guy is obviously very smitten with her, very flirty, and she's just like, it's a bit weird. And she comes to find out that he's like an old warrior of tale, because of the gemstones. regardless, there's this big festival, there's a big feast. Sylvia's telling them tales about them hunting the werewolves and the vampires. And soon she becomes very aware of a situation. They're going to give her a gemstone, but it's in choir of 10 years of her life. And she's just like, what? And they're like, you have to stay here for 10 years. Basically, bear our children because we have none. And she's like, absolutely not. You're crazy. And then she finds out that her hunters are being sacrificed to the sirens for this blood ritual thing. And of course, she has to break them free. After all that, they come into a situation where they're not only running for their lives, they're not only running from the fairies, they're running from the sirens. They end up running into the hunters that want to get them. So now they have three people or three sets of creatures that want to get to them, and it's just all chaos rains down. There's a lot of close calls, close death calls, especially for our boys. Sylvia obviously pushes herself beyond the point of magic, where she can't be awake. She gets mad at John. Obviously, they still have this relationship in secret. And of course, they have Gwen and Hannah, who are the hunter and the hunter's girlfriend, who obviously were trying to help them and fix their car. Hannah has a premonition that basically saying that Cliff is going to save all of them and that John is going to be ruined by her love. They don't know who her love is. They're just assuming it's Sylvia's. So it's a lot going on. They do leave the book off with them driving off towards another mission instead of a different colony where they're supposed to go. With Tammy's, who's, I'm guessing, like the equivalent of Bobby in Supernatural, saying that a lot of things are going wrong and weird things are happening. So they're like, it must be a gemstone. And they're like, maybe we should go check it out so that we can get the gemstone that Sylvia needs to basically become human and join them. And the last chapter, it was the conversation between the human and her mother. Her mother is actually tracking Sylvia, what's kind of neat. I did not expect that because I actually expected her mother and her sister just to be waiting impatiently at this other fairy compound for their daughter or sister. Just waiting for Sylvia. Why they just use this human as hitchhiking? But I was also wondering if the human is actually Sylvia's father, and I can't say if he is or not. It's shrouded in mystery. All I know is the mother kept saying that we have to tell the truth. We have to tell the truth before it's too late. And they're like, once we find Sylvia, we'll talk it out. So I don't say if it actually is her father and he was able to turn himself human or not. I'm really guessing yes. It's one of those mystery cliffhangers, illegal cliffhangers that they leave. When I was reading the book, I'm like, oh, okay, I got questions that need to be answered, and I'm just getting more questions. And now that there's a third book, I'm like, oh, because as soon as I started reading and I got closer to the end, I'm like, this is not going to end well. They're going to leave it. They're going to leave it on another story path, and they are. So I'm still curious to know where this story is going to go. It is a good book. I still give it 5 stars. There is no smut, unfortunately, so my smut-light rating, like there's little hand touching blah blah blahs and stuff like that, but yeah, it's like 1%. Like it's not even a half a star kind of content. So smut level, none. I think story-wise, 5. It took me longer than I thought it was going to finish this book. It's only 444 pages, so I don't know why it took me so long. But it was longer chapters, it seemed like to me. And it was still, regardless, a good read. I think my next book, I'm going to go back to like the Shifter kind of universe a little bit. I think I might go back to the Lycan series, the Lost Life of Melina series that I was reading with Abby and Damien, because there is a third book called Mages to the King's Gambit. So I think I may finish that just to finish the series off. And I'm excited to know that come September, Jolie Vine's the Skeleton Crew books that were coming out is Convicts, and Kane's and Tyler's books. I'm very excited to know where those are going because there is a lot of people. I'm very interested in Convict's book. I can't wait to read that because the poor man was just destroyed in the last book that I read. What would have been uh, Rhodians of Riots. I can't even remember. That means I have to go reread them again and enjoy them. But I'm excited to know where this is going. I'm also finishing, like I said, the Alcatar's last book that is written, waiting for the sixth book, and I can't wait to finish that. Like I said, Nesta and Cassian and Feyre and Rhysand and just all the characters that we love in that book. I can't wait to finish it. I'm hoping it goes well. And it's nice to see that Nesta is actually making friends in this book. And she's coming out of her shell and being more happier and being more alive, and just not the cold, dead sister that they know. So, with that being said, it's going to be a short review because I did do 2 half sessions of this last book that I read. Definitely pick it up. It's a good read, especially if you're into the Ferngully and the Supernatural books or episodes. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Enjoy, go do something nice. I know last weekend I got Haunting Adeline. I can't wait to read that because, I need it for my bookshelf. Why not? And I'm on the search for Hunting Adeline. So once I get to read that, I'll be quite content. It might be one of my, I don't know if it's going to be after my Kindle read or if I'm just going to read it on the side, waiting for the sixth book of the Octa. I don't know yet, but regardless, I will get it read, and I know it's such a popular read and such a good book, I hear, so I'm excited. Well, thank you for listening in, and enjoy your day. Do something special. You are special, and I catch you on the next episode. Bye bye.